Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wherever this is going to find you. I'm recording this just before 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, March 24th. But if this happens to find you in the future, so be it. I got a question for you today. It is Hot Topic Tuesday. What do you want out of this life? What do you desire the most? And why does that question feel so chaotic? And why does it feel so aggressive and like I'm attacking you when I ask you, what do you want out of this life? You have full control and a choice. Yet, I don't know why this isn't sitting well with me. So we'll get to that. And I want you to think on that for a few minutes. And eventually when it comes to you, maybe you start to comment below on whatever platform you're listening to this on. What do you want out of this life? And why does that feel so vast and therefore so scary? So we'll get to that. That's on the horizon. We'll also do just a quick check-in about the weekend. I did something for the very first time in Ohio, so I'll debrief you on that and anything else. Before we go any further, I want to say good morning to Casey Looney Silva, listening in Harwichport. Listening to the show this morning. Josh is in Fairfield. Jill, good morning to you in Walnut Hills. I want to know what's your name and what neighborhood you're in when you listen to this. So please comment below or DM me at the Tiff 2Fs Potter like the wizard. All right. So some of the bigger topics of conversation, at least in Cincinnati, have been TSA lines in CVG. And I've seen this across the country for spring break. I mean, what an evil combination for spring break. We've got the war in Iran, so gas prices, fuel prices, plane tickets are higher than they have been in a really long time. And I'm not one to notice the price of gas at the pump, but as of late, I have been picking up on it just in my general travels. So gas prices are up. TSA lines are incredibly long based off of some of the TikToks and Instagram videos I've seen at CVG alone. And that's not even like major airports. And speaking of, you saw that incident at LaGuardia yesterday. God, that was tragic. So, and if you don't know, a plane had collided with a fire truck. And there were some fatalities in that one. But TSA lines are really long. We've got some of the employees who are furloughed or at least not getting paid, rather. They're not getting paid to come to work. Why would you go to work? Yet we need them to show up for not just like personal spring break reasons, but for the world to go round, for things to function. You mess with functionality, especially in travel, you've got some really angry people. And I understand why. You know, I was thinking to myself on my last couple of weeks here of severance, do I want to go anywhere? And the answer is no. I'm even worried about booking a ticket for a trip I'm taking Memorial Day week at the end of May. My prayer is that we really get this organized and figured out. And that's the part about politics and government that irritates me, is that like everything that they're doing affects my life, but I'm so far removed and I will never be in those rooms. And yes, our vote matters. That's the other thing. Not to get too deep into the weeds on the news, but the SAVE Act has come up. And I believe that's where the government, current administration rather, is threatening like voter fraud if your mail-in ballot is like postmarked by the time it needs to be, but if it doesn't arrive on time, they don't want to count them. And then women are struggling who haven't changed their names yet, who are married. You might not be. I mean, it's just it's like I'm so far removed from that, yet it affects us directly. That's what bothers me. And yes, our local election absolutely does matter, right? What you do on a local level right here matters. So anyways, that's top of mind. I think you might scroll across some of that, or at least you'll be sitting there scrolling something when you're in that TSA line. I don't have a report as to what it's like this morning, but that was something I was seeing over the last couple of days. And I don't want to scare you because I know that someone's TikTok video somewhere is not always with the case, with the actual cases when you go. but just, I know it's top of mind. So if you've got a friend or even yourself, you've missed a flight or have been just stressed about it in general, I see you. Sometimes the things that we don't even participate in stress us out. That adds to like the everyday stressors in life. And for that, I say, let's take a deep breath. What do you want out of this life? Keep thinking about it. While you do that, I've got to debrief this camping trip, which is now live on social. If you want to take a peek at the Tiff 2F's Potter like the Wizard. I went to East Fork Lake, which is about 15 minutes down, 32. And I camped Saturday into Sunday. And there's a few things that I learned that I'll debrief on and a few funny moments. The first thing I learned is that you can wear whatever you want and it's fine. Second, you can grill any meal on a cast iron pan over an open flame and it will feel luxurious and gourmet. You can also play Nintendo Switch in the woods. I thought you would go into nature and disconnect and remove yourself, but this is 2026, baby. We are doing those things, but at the same time, we still want to be entertained. And so we opened up the Switch and played a little bit of Super Mario Smash Brothers, which I'm incredibly bad at. Last thing I learned about this camping trip, that putting the tent back into the tent bag is a recipe for a crash out. Why do they make bags so incredibly small and tight for some of the most annoying things? Like packing up from a camping trip is a nightmare in itself, but putting it back into the smallest possible bag, incredibly frustrating. Why? I might start a company just for bags. Put yours in this bag and it will be easier on you, is what the company title would be. But the trip itself was awesome. So the reason why we went camping is because, somewhere in the middle of winter, I started watching Luke from the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel. Outdoor Boys YouTube channel is awesome. Awesome to watch on a Saturday morning. Awesome to fall asleep to. Awesome as an in-between. It's an awesome show. It no longer has new episodes, but there are so many episodes that you can get caught up at any point, anytime, and find a new one. And what it is, if you don't know, is Luke has 3 sons and a wife, and every Saturday morning he would go out on these incredible camping trips. A lot of it was like Alaskan bush survival type of camping, which is interesting in itself. But then it kind of evolved into them going on vacations and trips. And he just did a really good job of filming it on a GoPro, including you. And then you learn something along the way. It's a little bit of education and aspiration/inspiration, which is what led me and my boyfriend to going to East Fork Lake. We wanted to try out this winter camping. I mean, this man would go into the woods with flint magnesium and a prayer and be like, all right, I'm going to sleep in the woods in the middle of winter. He'd go in there with flint magnesium, a shovel, and a prayer and have like a gourmet meal. Would have like what looked like a warm, comfy, cozy shelter built from nothing. So after watching that for hours and hours and hours over the past 6, 7, 8 months, we decided we wanted to be involved in this. And so I had done a whole episode on camping, a couple of weeks ago, and we had a lot of Amazon packages coming into this house. But overall, it was a really nice introduction. Were we sleeping on the ground in the woods? Absolutely not. We were on an air mattress in a tent, a little bit high. But it was such a cool thing. You're like so close to home, yet so far. And East Fork Lake, by the way, camping is not cheap. It was $40 for our campsite. And this is off season. It's March for $30-something plus tax. Why are we taxing? Why is the state taxing on a plot of land outside that I have to bring all my own to? What? Then the pre-trip, the snack trip, the grocery trip, that was like $50-something. And then in the middle of the night, we were a little snacky, decided we didn't have enough wood to survive. So we went to the gas station around the corner, spent another $50. I looked at him at one point. I was like, why is this the most expensive outdoor sleepover we've ever had? But it was incredible. It was a good time. It is a lot of work. You know, you've got to pack the house, load the car, unload the car, set it all up, get your setup in your camp looking nice. Then the meal portion takes a while. Then you wake up, do another meal, tend to the fire, pack everything up and go home. I mean, it is not for the quick and it is not for the weak. But it was cool. It was something new. It's something I want to continue throughout the summer. You know, we'll get a little bit more efficient about it. But it is wonderful to be in nature. You know, I took in deep breaths of fresh air, painted a little bit, read a little bit, journaled a little bit. And then for, you know, the man in my life who loves to like do things like that I don't, for instance, tending to a fire, I'm all set. Sticking my hand into an open flame with a cast iron pan that weighs 40 pounds, I'm all set. But that's stuff he loves. He loves being a survivalist, even if it's at East Fork Lake, 15 minutes from the apartment. And we do not live together full time, by the way. I have my own apartment in Mount Adams, and he lives in Anderson Township, by the way, if you're curious, if you're a details person. But highly recommend it. It was cool. What I really loved is that we talked about it so much. We fostered like community and relationship and conversation about it, set a goal, and then we went out and we executed. We took it out of the group text, Gen Z and millennials say, and we did it in real life. And that is awesome. I love adventure for that reason. So if you're a visual person, at the Tiff 2F's Potter like the wizard. All right, how we doing with timing here? Let's get to Hot Topic Tuesday. Every Tuesday, right around this time in the morning, you know, I come across something throughout the week, whether it's something I read or a conversation or maybe something I picked up on TV, and then you and I dissect it and talk about it. Maybe it is a challenge for you. Maybe it does offer new perspective. Maybe it gives you something to think on. And today's Hot Topic Tuesday is, what do you desire most in this life? What do you want to do with it? And why does that sound so aggressive? And my gut becomes defensive. Like if you and I were sitting across from each other having a coffee, and you just randomly asked, what do you desire most in this life? I think I would become immediately defensive for not having a clean-cut answer for you. Think on that. And maybe you are quite the opposite of me, and you can rattle off answers that feel genuine and authentic to you, not something that you've read on Pinterest. And for that, I would love your tips and tricks and how you got there. So I'm reading this book. It's called Powerful AF by Morgan Field, if you want to look it up or maybe purchase it on Amazon. And the title of this chapter is Desire, Commitment, and Alignment. So my 2 words of 2026 have been aligned and alive. That's everything that I'm trying to do. I try to put through that filter. Some of the subheadings in this chapter are: weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat. Decide, commit, be all in. And I'm like, well, hold on. Like, how do I do that? I'm like turning pages here like, okay, well, what do you mean? Some of the prompts in this book say, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all and 10 being fully committed, where would you rate your current level of commitment to each desire? So the prompt in the book is to think and dream up and ask yourself what else on some of your biggest desires. And then for each one on a scale from 1 to 10, figure out what your current level of commitment is to them. How much time, energy, thought, and action are you giving to each one of your desires? How are you interacting with each desire? Is there a possibility that you are thinking you are committed to action when really you are more just committed to the idea of it? Well, shoot, now I find myself thinking like, what? Here's what I think about desires. I feel like desires ebb and flow based off of what cycle you're in your life. And if you're a woman, it depends on what cycle you are in your cycle, what position you are in your cycle. Am I wrong? Desires ebb and flow based off of the environments and whatnot that are around us. However, the environments that we're in are created by our desires. So I think they go hand in hand. And again, this conversation is to get us to start thinking a little bit more about conscious desires that we want. Right now, a lot of my desire is based off of what the hell I'm going to do with my life once my last severance check for my corporate job runs out on April 15th. That's the primary driver of my desires. I think at one point my desires were to be the best version of myself. At one point it was, to put myself out there and start dating. And that's when my boyfriend, we refer to him as Tom Brady. That's when he came into my life. And so I think I'm reflecting, at one point my desires were to be the best in my career. But when it is so vast and so available and so I'm panicking. Imagine being told, hey, you have nothing but time, money, and energy. What do you want to do with it? What do you want? I'm frozen AF in this lake sometimes. What is that? Why, when it is so vast and so free and so open to possibilities, that it makes you clam up and cramp up even more? I'm curious. I don't know if I have a full circle answer for you on that one. But that's where I find myself this morning when I read that chapter. And I have I'm in the process of growing a business. This is one of them. This is one part of the business. And so, by the way, thank you for supporting my business. I really do appreciate that. Some days I have so much self-doubt and why am I doing this again? That idea that I was so committed to last week, where's that commitment now? That's where I struggle a little bit sometimes, where I second guess. I'm a manifesting generator. I'm an Aquarius. Woo! I love to just generate ideas. I love the idea of ideas, and I love talking to people about the ideas. I find it's the ones that I don't talk about are the ones, though, that become the thing that I actually do. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm keeping some of this entrepreneurial stuff close to the chest. Low desire rating. So pay attention as you read each potential block to feel what is most true for your top desires that you have low desire ratings for. Then ask, when you uncover a low desire rating for something you actually do desire, here are a few blocks that may be getting in the way of the rating being higher. Did that make sense? I felt a little disjointed when I read it. So if you have something that you're no, I desire this, but the rate in which I'm committing to it is very low, here's what you might want to ask yourself. You may not think it's possible. You may not be sure how to make it happen, or your ninja mind addiction, which means that little sneaky ninja in your brain is telling you that you can't do it. You're full of self-doubt. So pay attention to that one. Ask yourself, what if it was possible? What might be some creative ways to make it happen? What else might you be able to try? And what else? And what else? Here's another one for you. You may not be spending enough time on the daily basis investing in making that dream crystal clear and more juicy and yummy and exciting. So keep your focus on your dreams so that you can really feel it every single day and remember why you want it. Play with questions that connect you to the feeling you will have when your dream is a reality. What are all of the ways that your life will be different when the desire is a reality? See if that one helps. Here's another one that I think I'm falling victim to. You may be focusing your energy and attention on things that are easier. That one resonated with me. I'm like the person that I don't necessarily love to work in Canva, but I like to ideate. I like to get creative. I like to write it down. I like to brainstorm. I like to have coffee meetings. But when it comes to that next phase of execution where I sit across from a business and I say, hey, I think you would benefit from my services, and here's how much they cost, I would rather walk from here to California than do that. So I get hung up on the first intro part, but that's not the part that makes me money. That's not the part that fulfills the desire. You know what I'm saying? You may think that having what you want will actually cost you too much emotionally, mentally, physically, and financially. That's something to sit with. Desire levels are low sometimes because of the learning curve that you may foresee in your inevitable future. Deep down, you know what will be required to turn that desire into reality. The good old addiction to how may be taking the good old addiction to how. The how may be taking center stage. So those are some of the prompts that I'm thinking about right now this morning on Tuesday, March 24th, in my book at least. And I do read some of those, and yes, some of those patterns do resonate with me, but I still find myself, if I'm being honest with you, sitting here in the This Morning headquarters, which is usually a bed and a microphone and a computer, saying, what do I want most out of my life? Who do I want in it? Who do I want to invest my time, money, and energy in? What do I want to wake up and do every day? I've practiced the exercises. I've looked at that random week 2 years from now on my calendar and been like, okay, what do I want to fill it with? And maybe I'm not the right person for this. Maybe I'm not cut out to think like that. I do find myself at peace when I'm in the present and when I'm spontaneously living life. And I tell myself it will work out. It always does. It always has. You have the pattern of that. That's how I tend to live my life. I don't do well with visionary. I like visionary. I like being futuristic. I like brainstorming the future. But when it comes to acting on those, I clam up. And I wonder if you're the same. Maybe you're not. Let's leave it there for now. That's a good place to stop. It's a good place to think for Hot Topic Tuesday. I appreciate you stopping by the show. If any of this resonated with you, first and foremost, why don't you shoot me a message, whether it's here or on social media. I respond a little quicker on Instagram and TikTok at the Tiff, 2 F's, Potter like the wizard. That also goes for Facebook and Twitter as well. And if you enjoy the work that we're putting together every morning at 8 a.m., why don't you subscribe or send this link to a friend? I appreciate you stopping by, for inviting me into your life, into your home, and into the places that you love, into your head, into your heart. Just know that you have a friend in me, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Have a good day.